Teddy Gatz, a conspiracy theorist, keeps telling his autistic cousin Don that aliens in disguise are hiding among people. For Michelle Fuller, the CEO of a pharmaceutical company, it is an ordinary morning. Nothing foreshadows trouble. The woman has no idea that Teddy and Don are planning to abduct her, convinced that she is one of the aliens. Michelle practices martial arts and maintains excellent physical condition. Meanwhile, Teddy and Don are training themselves both physically and spiritually for the upcoming mission. Teddy guides his cousin, stressing the importance of everything they are doing. Don asks how Teddy distinguishes ordinary people from disguised aliens. Teddy explains that there are signs: ordinary people are empty, harmless and hopeless. Michelle drives her expensive car to the office while the cousins buy everything necessary to carry out their plan. Don worries that someone might figure out what they are doing. Teddy assures him that no one cares about them. During the mission they must not get distracted, not by video games, not by phones, not by anything else. Don is not sure he can handle it. Teddy hugs him, saying that he could not handle it alone. They are doing this above all to save themselves. In the evening Teddy suggests that Don take a hormonal drug with him so that their male function will stop functioning. This, he says, will allow them to achieve maximum concentration and clear their minds of unnecessary mental impulses. Don hesitates, unsure whether he is ready, hoping that one day he will meet a woman. Teddy asks his cousin to trust him, insisting that only by getting rid of all animal urges they can become masters of themselves. Eventually Don gives in. According to Teddy, it is the only way to stop whatever alien thing is affecting them. Michelle gives an interview. She is preparing to introduce a new company policy based on the absence of overtime. The woman asks her secretary Corey to inform the staff that everyone may go home at 5:30 if they wish, yet at the same time they must still meet their quota. In short, no strict obligation, but if work remains, it must be completed. When Michelle drives home, she has no idea that Teddy and Don are already lying in wait for her in masks. As soon as the woman gets out of her car, they attack, but she turns out not to be helpless and knocks one of them out. Michelle starts running, trying to fight off her pursuer, but he sprays some substance into her face. Soon afterward she loses consciousness and collapses. The cousins drag Michelle into her own car and drive away. While Teddy takes the wheel, Don shaves Michelle's head completely bald. Then they burn all the evidence. Don asks how Teddy realized that she was an alien. The man replies that they did a good job, yet details give them away. For example, narrow feet, thin cuticles, a slightly shifted bite, slightly protruding earlobes, hair that is too thick. If you do not know where to look, you might not even notice it. Teddy insists that the genetic structure of this creature is identical to that of a human, but the nervous system is different, so it is necessary to apply antihistamine cream to the skin. What they are about to do, it is not torture, because the real torture is what the aliens have been doing to people all this time. The sedative will wear off soon, so the cousins put on their official suits, preparing to face the alien. Don is downcast. He feels he looks ridiculous in this suit. On top of that, Don is worried about his hormonal state. Teddy reminds him that it no longer controls them, they control it. Michelle regains consciousness tied up, understanding nothing. Teddy announces that she is in the headquarters of human resistance. Puzzled, Michelle asks where her hair is. Teddy explains that her hair has been destroyed so she will not be able to communicate with her ship. Trying to remain calm, Michelle explains that in the next 48 hours a full-scale search for her will begin. The FBI will certainly get involved, because her company is an important employer and a key economic engine of the region. They have kidnapped a major public figure, and if they do not stop right now, the consequences will only worsen for them. Teddy expresses admiration at how powerful that sounded, yet it changes nothing. He calls Michelle a high-ranking official of the Royal Andromedian Court. According to him, she is helping her species in the enslavement of planet Earth. The woman suggests sorting things out calmly. First, she is not an alien. Teddy interrupts her, asking how he is supposed to believe that she is a 45-year-old woman or even a human being at all. Michelle explains that she eats a certain diet and lives a healthy lifestyle, yet that does not make her an alien. However, her words do not convince Teddy. He gives her one night to record a statement on a voice recorder for her emperor, so that he will grant them access to the ship and begin negotiations about withdrawing their species from Earth. Michelle still does not understand what these two want from her. Teddy only says that this is difficult for him, because beings like Michelle took the lives of his family, his community, his colleagues and even the bees. Teddy has no reliable data on whether her species requires sleep, but he advises her to sleep anyway, after which the men leave, abandoning Michelle in shock and solitude. She is locked in the basement of Teddy's house. Once upstairs, the men start jumping with joy. They did it. But Don's mood darkens when he sees through the hidden camera that Michelle is crying. Teddy says that they must not see a human woman in her. To them she is not Michelle Fuller, but humanoid Fuller, corporate evil. Teddy insists that tears, an emotional manipulation meant to evoke sympathy in them. Don promises his cousin that he will not mess it up. They have only 4 days until the lunar eclipse, when the Andromedan ship will be able to approach without attracting attention. Humanoid Fuller, their only way to establish contact. Before bed, Don watches a video about the Andromeda Galaxy, while Teddy observes Michelle through the hidden camera. He remembers his mother Sandy, who raved telling her son about the importance of his destiny. She participated in clinical trials of a drug produced by the pharmaceutical company run by Michelle. 3 days before the lunar eclipse, Michelle's kidnappers force her to constantly rub antihistamine cream into her skin. Riding his bicycle into town, Teddy listens to an audiobook describing highly advanced intelligent life in the universe. Suddenly he is stopped by the local sheriff Casey, who sometimes looked after Teddy during childhood, though he was hardly an ideal caretaker. Casey just wanted to make sure Teddy was doing all right. He insists everything is fine, and citing busyness, continues pedaling. Teddy works as a packer at a warehouse. His colleague Tina complains about pain in her arm. She recently cut herself on a machine, yet sees no point in filing an OSHA complaint. Usually no one cares about ordinary workers. Teddy promises that soon everything will change. All the news broadcasts report the disappearance of Michelle Fuller. No one has seen her for 48 hours. Police do not rule out the possibility of a kidnapping for ransom, given Michelle's prominence and wealth, yet there is so far no evidence supporting that theory. At home, Teddy reminds Don that they must not allow the creature to trap them in pity. To avoid provoking their captors, Michelle recorded a message on the voice recorder, admitting that she is an alien. This enrages Teddy because Michelle was not even speaking in an alien language. Trying to keep herself composed, the woman tells Teddy that he is trapped in an echo chamber. He consumes online content that only reinforces his false subjective view of reality. The man demands that she stop immediately. He will not tolerate any further attempts to deceive him. When Teddy in a fit of rage begins smashing a chair, Don flinches. Despite the situation, Michelle tries calmly to understand what they actually want. Perhaps money? This only angers Teddy more. He shouts that there will be no deals. There are no laws here, no Congress, no democracy. When Michelle says that Teddy is ill and needs help, she receives a blow to the face. He believes that in the Andromeda Galaxy there is an inhabited exoplanet, and there is a mothership built by an alien civilization. Teddy instructs Don that when they find themselves aboard for negotiations, they must remain as focused and composed as possible. It is all in the name of saving Earth. Don says that after the hormonal injection he feels strange. Sometimes he feels sad. Teddy promises that it will pass soon. 2 days before the lunar eclipse. In despair, Michelle tries to break the chains restraining her, but fails. Her kidnappers come down again. Don holds a shotgun pointed at Michelle, just in case. The woman has no choice but to confess that she is an alien. Michelle is utterly exhausted and simply wants to reach some resolution. However, this is not enough for Teddy, and he decides to torture Michelle with electric shocks. Don does not understand why this is necessary. Teddy reminds him that this creature took the lives of their family. Not even loud music can drown out Michelle's screams. Don begs Teddy to stop, yet he is in no hurry to do so. Don covers his ears just to avoid hearing the cries. At some point he cannot take it anymore and pulls the plug. Michelle's resilience to pain convinces Teddy that she is indeed non-human, and moreover, not just an official but an empress. Only a royal genetic code could endure such pain. In a state of shock, Michelle remembers how she had been preparing to make a public statement after the failed clinical trials of a certain drug. The company was preparing to apologize and compensate the families of the victims. Several people had fallen into comas, including Teddy's mother. 1 day before the lunar eclipse, Teddy frees Michelle from the chains, ordering Don to keep the weapon ready at all times. The man allows Michelle to come upstairs, trying thereby to atone for not giving her the royal reception she supposedly deserved. Teddy has also prepared dinner and has nailed a chain under the kitchen table to the floor in advance so that Michelle cannot escape. The woman plays along with this performance, if only so as not to provoke Teddy again. He barely lets Don speak, afraid that he might blurt out something unnecessary, something not meant for alien ears. Teddy, who enjoys beekeeping, expresses concern about the imminent extinction of bees. He believes aliens are involved in this. Michelle tries to convince him otherwise, emphasizing that the environment is changing, that ecological factors play a major role, and that humanity itself is largely to blame. This leads to a debate. Realizing she will never manage to persuade Teddy, Michelle says that she knew his mother. Sandy, like many others, participated in clinical trials for money. The woman tries to explain that it is impossible to predict every potential side effect in advance, and sometimes tragedies occur. This enrages Teddy, and he lunges across the entire table at Michelle. Confused, Don grabs the shotgun and demands that his cousin stop. But he does not stop. Suddenly Michelle stabs Teddy with a fork and breaks free. A chase begins again. Don has no idea what to do. Michelle gains the upper hand and shouts at Teddy that he is a loser. Don is forced to knock her out with the gun stock. Casey arrives. While Don drags Michelle back into the basement, Casey knocks on the door and insists on coming in. He is investigating the disappearance of Michelle Fuller and is here to find out whether Teddy or Don noticed anything suspicious. Perhaps they saw Michelle's car? Clearly nervous, Teddy assures the sheriff that neither he nor Don knows anything. Meanwhile, Michelle tries to convince Don, who is pointing the shotgun at her, to stop this madness. He does not have to dance to the tune of his deranged cousin, who has built his entire life around a conspiracy theory about evil aliens. Don yells at her to shut up. Michelle realizes he is already on the edge. He is confused and terrified. In fact, Casey is here not only because of Michelle's disappearance but because of guilt. Many years ago, when Casey looked after young Teddy, the feeling of power went to his head. But Casey swears he never acted that way with anyone again. Teddy assures him that it is all in the past and offers to show Casey the beehives in the backyard. Michelle continues trying to convince Don not to do this. The man, crying, says that he is no one except Teddy. While he desperately tries to distract the sheriff, Don tells Michelle that he will free her, but only if she takes him and Teddy with her into space. The woman promises to do it, but without Teddy because there is no time. At that moment, Don thanks her and turns the shotgun on himself. Right after Casey hears the shot, Teddy attacks him and takes his life. Then he runs into the basement and, seeing his cousin's body, becomes convinced that Michelle has brainwashed him. To save her life, the woman claims that she has medicine for Teddy's mother, who is now in a coma. And it is in Michelle's car, inside a bottle from antifreeze. Breaking Michelle's leg, Teddy rushes to the hospital. Meanwhile, the woman manages to reach the keys and free herself from the chains. Teddy bursts into his mother's hospital room and, fully believing in his illusion, draws antifreeze into a syringe. Trying to climb out of the basement, Michelle sees fragments of bodies preserved in formalin and realizes she is not the first person Teddy has kidnapped. He cries as he begs his mother to wake up, while Michelle comes to the horrifying realization that she has fallen into the hands not merely of a fanatic but of a true psychopath. Teddy is far more obsessed with the alien conspiracy theory than she could ever have imagined. Of course, after such an injection, Sandy dies. The man escapes the room through the window and races home, realizing that Michelle deceived him. But before he can pull the trigger, Michelle orders him to shut up and listen to her. Showing no sign of fear, she declares that she looks human not because of a disguise. The woman explains that many millions of years ago, aliens accidentally brought to Earth a lethal virus that killed the dinosaurs and many other species. Tormented by guilt, the Emperor decided to repopulate Earth with beings similar to themselves. Yet humanity fell into its own corrupt, cruel nature, sinking into it. And according to Michelle, the Andromedians came to Earth not to destroy humanity but to save it by introducing a special gene carried by the mothership. The contact will take place at Michelle's company headquarters. Driven to tears, Teddy believes this story. For the sake of saving humanity, he is ready for anything. The night of the lunar eclipse. Wearing a wig and pretending nothing is wrong, Michelle drives Teddy to her office in her car. Don's body lies on the back seat. Teddy believes that the aliens will be able to bring his cousin back to life. They take the elevator to the second floor. Michelle assures Teddy that the contact will take place right here, through a teleporter. She enters a sequence of digits on a calculator, noting that everything should look mundane, human. Teddy worries that he does not have an oxygen tank with him. Michelle assures him that there is oxygen on the ship. Teddy is trembling with anticipation, thinking the contact is moments away. Just in case, he has already put on a suicide belt, so that if anything goes wrong, he can self-destruct. The woman repeats that he is the pride of his species and that soon they will help Don. According to Michelle, the teleporter is inside her closet. When he enters, she presses enter on the calculator, and the belt explodes, ending Teddy's life. Michelle is thrown back by the blast wave. Unconscious, she is taken by ambulance under police escort. But when Michelle wakes up, she jumps out of the vehicle, returns to her office, steps into the closet and teleports to the Andromedian mothership. Michelle is the Empress of the Andromeda Galaxy. Her kin greet her. The ship has almost reached Earth. Michelle's people could not contact her without her hair. All experiments with human subjects have been completed, and the likelihood of a successful outcome is zero. Therefore, the Empress concludes that humanity does not deserve to continue existing on Earth. Michelle pierces the dome, shaped like a bubble, above a model of the flat Earth. And in that very instant, all humans on the planet die simultaneously, regardless of social status or anything else. In the final scene, we see bees gradually returning to Teddy's apiary. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel not to miss more exciting new products. Also, the authors will be pleased if you leave your opinion in the comments.